friends, oh my goodness, I'm having last minute, what do you call that? Just last minute. I'm super last minute. At the very last minute, I decided I wanted to do a Halloween themed dinner. I'm planning on doing feet loaf. If you've never heard of what feet loaf is, it's basically meatloaf in the shape of a foot. And then you use onions as the toes or the toenails. And then you put the ketchup on the top of the ankle and maybe on the toes too. So I wanted to do that. And then I also wanted to do just a simple brownie, but I want to melt chocolate chips into the form of ghosts. And then there's this bee trying to get in the house. And then I want to do Halloween jalapeno poppers. So I had a very busy morning and it's like almost 2:30 now. And I have a lot of stuff to do. I now have to run to the store to get a few ingredients for those things. And then I also have to go to Kohl's because I have a Kohl's cash thing, but it's expired. So I want to see if they'll be able to give a grace period. I heard that they can. It could be up to 10 days after your Kohl's cash expires. So to see if they can honor that. And if so, I might be getting a Dutch oven, hopefully for free, maybe. And then I'm probably going to take my sisters to Spirit Halloween to get their costumes. And then I gotta come home and bake all that stuff. So that's why I'm trying to talk in a rush, and I'm in a rush. I'm always in a rush. I'm gonna let the dogs out and then we're gonna go head to all of those places. Okay everyone, so update on the Kohl's cash. I was able to redeem it. They were able to process it and do the grace period. So I think I was just in time for the grace period to be over. So I was able to get a Dutch oven basically for free. And then I also got this really cute Stranger Things clean dirty dishwasher magnet. So I'm really I'm excited about that. The Dutch oven was probably, let's see, I think the Dutch oven was $80 and then the magnet was $24. I was panicking and I wanted to use up all of the money because it was basically free for me. Because Nick got it when he bought the stand mixer for my birthday. So they gave him the Kohl's cash. And then I ran to Walmart to go ahead and get ingredients for the things that we're going to be making tonight. The only thing I didn't get at Walmart was the Monterey Jack cheese. They didn't have shredded Monterey Jack cheese, and they also didn't have, or they did have jalapeno peppers, but they were like $1.40, and I have to get 10 jalapenos, and I'm not gonna pay almost $2 for just one jalapeno. That is just insane, and I cannot justify that price. So I'm going to Fred Meyer because I think they're only 30 cents. That is way more in my budget. So that is where we're going right now, and I have to pick up that at Fred Meyer, and then I have to go pick up my sisters to go to Spirit Halloween because they didn't get their costumes yet, so I'm gonna get them their costumes, and then we're gonna get home and start baking and making all those fun little things. Hopefully I'll have time. It's about 3:40 right now, so we're running a little short on time, but I know we'll be able to get those things cooked tonight, hopefully. Hello everybody, so today is the next day. It is November 1st. I was not able to get around to making the things that I wanted to make yesterday just because I got home and it was already kind of late and I just ended up buying pizza. And then I found out that my boyfriend Nick was on call after work, so he didn't get home until about 12 at night, so I thought it was a little pointless to make all of these things. just for myself. I still wanted to make all of them because I did get all of the ingredients yesterday. And I think it's still going to be really cute, and it is still a recipe on this week's not dessert, but dinner. And so it's meatloaf. We're going to be making meatloaf, but we're going to be making it in the shape of a foot. So it's technically called feetloaf. So we're going to try that, but it is going to be a meatless version. So I was able to find a meatless version of meatloaf, and we're gonna try and create that, or see if we can try and create that into the shape of a foot. It is chickpea meatloaf that we're gonna be making, as well as, let's find the other. So we're also gonna be making more of a dessert. We're gonna be making brownies, and we're gonna be making little ghosts to put on the brownies, and it's gonna be a, not frosting, but I'm gonna be melting these white chocolate chips, and we're gonna make those into ghosts and put some eyes on those, and then as well as an appetizer. And the appetizer is jalapeno poppers, and they're gonna be mummies. So we're gonna try and make all of these today. Go ahead and get started. I wanna get started on this chickpea meatloaf first. I'm gonna gather all of the ingredients that we need. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut up all of our vegetables. We have garlic, onion, and carrots, but I do not have fresh carrots, I only have canned, but that is okay, we will compromise. With this feetloaf recipe, I need to cut up onions that look like, or for the toenails and for the ankles, at the top of the ankles. We're gonna cut out little circles. We're gonna just do this and set it on top of the ankle. It would work perfectly fine. For our toenails, I don't really think they need to be perfect. I'm just gonna cut out little tiny squares, and I need 10 of them. I'm gonna grab a separate bowl so we can throw the onions that we're gonna use on there so we don't accidentally cut them up and cook them. The recipe did call for 2 cloves of garlic, but I think I did around 7 just because we really love garlic, and I feel like I've never added too much garlic to ruin a recipe, so I just thought, why not? I'm just gonna add as much as I want. I went ahead and added a little bit of olive oil in here and turned the heat to 4, which is a little lower than medium heat. Wait for the olive oil to heat up and saute our veggies, and I'm going to be opening this can of carrots and draining them. Since I'm not using fresh carrots, I don't really need to soften them, so I'm not going to throw them in with the garlic and onion mixture until I throw in the seasonings, or maybe shortly after. Just because I don't want them to get mushy, I want them to still be full halves of carrots. We're gonna go ahead and throw these onions and garlic in. I'm gonna let these onions and garlic cook down just a little bit and develop that flavor and soften up. While we're waiting on the onions and garlic to soften up a bit, I'm going to grab my food processor, and this is what we're going to ground the flaxseed, the oats, and something else. Okay, now we're gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper. If you want exact measurements, for salt you would need 1/2 of a teaspoon, and for pepper you would need 1/2 of a teaspoon as well. For paprika, we're gonna do 1 teaspoon. Same with cumin, 1 teaspoon. As well as some onion powder. Now for thyme, we're gonna do 1/2 of a teaspoon. So probably about that, a little more. And then cayenne pepper is gonna be 1/4 of a teaspoon. And I'm just gonna eyeball this as well. Stir that in. That is looking really good. It is also smelling really good. And we're gonna quickly add some of our carrots. That looks really good. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this off. Get that off the heat. For this flour, we're gonna add 1 cup of rolled oats, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, 2, about 1/2 of a cup of nuts, and I'm doing walnuts. I think the rest of this bag is going to be about half a cup. Yep, perfect. Perfect. We're just going to add that to our food processor. Blend this up until it gets to a flour consistency. And it's going to be more of a flour or grainy flour consistency, so it's not going to be as fine as flour, obviously. But I think this looks pretty good. Now we're going to add the chickpeas. The recipe calls for two 14-ounce cans of chickpeas or 1 28-ounce. I have 2 15.5, I think. So I'm not going to add all of these, but most of them. We're going to also be adding 2 tablespoons of soy sauce or tamari. And 2 tablespoons of either tomato sauce or ketchup. I don't have ketchup, otherwise I would use ketchup, but tomato sauce is probably a little better for you anyways. Pulse this. We want to make sure that all the chickpeas aren't mushed up into a big mush. We want to just pulse it until it gets mixed in with our grainy flour. Okay, I really don't know, but I think that looks okay so far. I think. I don't know. Because it's not mush, but it's also not whole chickpeas either. So I think that's perfect. We are almost to the fun part. Now we have to combine the two. It feels like we can definitely work with it. Now for the fun part. I'm a little nervous because I don't really know how to create I don't even know where to start, but we're just gonna go into it. I'm gonna try and split this in half. It's perfect for molding. I was a little scared and skeptical, but I wanted to try it out anyways and see if it would work, because normally this recipe is with how you would normally make a meatloaf with meat. Okay, so we got our foot. I might have to try and scoot this back. There we go. Create little toes. Like this. For our glaze, we need 1/3 of a cup of tomato sauce or ketchup. And then we need 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And then 1 tablespoon of either balsamic vinegar, or you can do apple cider vinegar as well. So again, this is 1/2 of a tablespoon. I'm gonna do 2. Mix that up. I'm gonna go ahead and just use the rest of my tomato sauce. I think 2 tablespoons of the maple syrup was a bit too much. Okay, that's a little better. Now all we need to do is add our final touches. And then our toenails. And then our glaze. And they are all done. They could be a little better, but I think they're pretty good. You can tell what they are, so I think just as long as it tastes good, it'll be definitely a success. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this in the fridge. When it is time to bake this, we wanna preheat our oven to 350, and I'm trying to read my little, and then we're gonna bake it for 60 minutes. Now I'm gonna get everything cleaned up and we're gonna start on our next little project. All right, the kitchen is all clean. Now what we're making next are the brownies. And I have all my ingredients right here. So we're gonna be mixing our dry ingredients into this bowl. We're gonna do 1.5 cups of sugar. Oh. I would say that's about 1.5 cups, since we did pour a little bit extra in there. And we're gonna do about 90 grams of flour. Okay, that's 82, so we're gonna put in 8 more grams. And then 2/3 cup of cocoa powder. half of a cup of powdered sugar. About a half of a cup of chocolate chips. And then 3/4 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna set that aside and get started on our wet ingredients. We're gonna do 2 eggs into our wet bowl mixture. Half of a cup of olive oil. And then 2 tablespoons of water. And a half of a teaspoon of vanilla. Get out our stand mixer. This time I'm gonna actually remember that there is a knob to lift this up. We're gonna wanna sprinkle our dry ingredients over our wet ingredients. Mix all of those together. Here is our brownie mixture. It is looking really, really good and smooth and creamy. So now we are starting on our jalapeno poppers, and we're doing the filling. The filling calls for 8 ounces of cream cheese and 8 ounces of cheese of your choosing. I chose Parmesan. I think it regularly called for Jack cheese, I believe, but I couldn't find any shredded Jack cheese, so I just did Parmesan. I also added a bit of salt and started mixing the cream cheese in with the cheese. It was a little tough to get all of the cheese coated with the cream cheese, but I was able to get it all coated. So later in this video, you'll find that I had a massive fail, and I'll explain that in a little bit, but I wanted to include the biscuits scaring me. I thought it was funny, so I kind of wanted to leave it. So with these crescent croissants, what I did was I shaped all of them into rectangles, and then I used a pizza cutter to cut little slices so that we can wrap our jalapenos with them. And then I tried to cut jalapenos in half, and my mistake here was that I didn't use or have any gloves. I would strongly suggest that. I'm prone to, I don't know what it's called, the jalapeno burn. I made that mistake once and I will never make it again. So I'm trying to really avoid touching these jalapenos with my bare hands. But I was able to cut them all in half and get them filled with this cream cheese Parmesan mixture. So I'm just filling them all up with this mixture. And then after we get these all filled, we're going to wrap them in the croissant little slices and get them in the oven. I believe it was 400 degrees for like 10 minutes, I believe. I can double check that, but they really didn't cook that long, and they were actually the only thing that turned out in today's cooking experiment, which I was a little bummed today. But I'm not gonna let that discourage me. I was thinking I was just not gonna post this video at all because of how bad I failed, but I figured everybody makes mistakes, especially when experimenting with new things, and in the kitchen everybody messes up, and that is totally fine. I want to also share my mistakes as well as my successes. But the last thing I did before I popped these in the oven was I coated them with an egg wash. And so this is where things took a turn for the worst. I was creating these little ghosts to put on the brownies. The brownies were in the oven at this point. And I was a little too occupied with creating these ghosts. It was a little too much fun. But what I did was I threw these in the microwave for a few minutes and then let them harden on this piece of tinfoil. But I was a little too preoccupied with these ghosts. And I left the brownies in the oven for a little too long. And I burnt them. I was a little bummed about it because I was really, really excited about these little ghost brownies. And I tried to scrape off the burnt pieces. And I ended up trying the brownies because I thought maybe this little plate of brownies would be salvageable. I could cover it with the chocolate chip and make it like a frosting, but I tried it and it was absolutely repulsive. It was so gross. But I was really excited that I was able to get these jalapeno poppers done, and I think they looked really cute.